Hello everybody and welcome back to Apex Online Racing AOR PS4 tier. This is round 9. We're live from Spielberg in the forests of Austria. So it's round 9, would you believe? We're gone 9 rounds into the season already. And it is Washi topping the championship currently. But after McQuiz's win last time out, the gap comes down to a gap of 41 points. So the championship is starting to heat up a little bit now. So it's going to be interesting to see the battle between the Brit and the Estonian for the championship win. We'll be coming to the Christmas break shortly. We'll be coming to it next weekend after round 10, which is at, I can't quite remember, I think actually it's Silverstone, I believe, is the Grand Prix before we go to the Christmas break. So we've 13 drivers here today. We have Stuart McDougall, we have Jason, we have David Ben, who has had a nice string of podiums this past little while. Seika lines up, is there in P4 currently. There's James Boniface, winner in Monaco. Caddy Damus, who's cutting the grass. Danny Oyuke, who is looking to stop his string of non-finishes this season, was pretty much on course for a win last time out, but didn't come to light. Washi, championship leader currently, 41 points, but is starting to get caught up a little bit by McQuiz down there in P11. Zek, there he is in the Renault in P9. There is IEJ, who has moved to Renault. Of course, there's been a driver exchange there, so now Zek and Ian are now teammates after Baku. McQuiz there, P11. Denzamo, Washi's teammate, who has been one of the most consistent this season. G-White's in P13 then. Just spout a little bit of stats here right now. Washi and Ian, I believe, are the only drivers who have finished every single race so far. Let's see if they can continue that. As we have Caddy Damus, who has already lost his front wing. We have 3 compounds of tyres for today. We have the Ultra Softs, we have the Super Softs, and we have the Softs. Now, we're going to be looking for times in the 107s and perhaps the 106s. We have Zek popping in a 108.1. We've seen drivers go into the 106s earlier today. There is McQuiz with his 107.2. I'm just going to quickly turn off my notifications as I forgot that they were on. Excuse the blue screen for a second. There we go. We're back. So McQuiz with a fast lap currently. Nobody else out on any other different compound. It's currently Washi in P2 with the 108.0. Now, he's going to be struggling today because he has brand new Fanatec gear, brand new wheel and pedals, so he's going to be getting acclimatized to that equipment. So I don't think we're going to see him as competitive today, but then again I could be wrong, but it might be McQuiz's day to capitalize and close the gap in the championship even more. And I have a feeling this could be a very close qualifying. If I do sound tired, I have just finished a different commentary and it was absolutely mad. I'm actually physically shaking. So I'm using this to kind of recover. There's McQuiz with a 106.8. David Ben 107.6. McQuiz is so quick, it looks. I'm going to go for a lap around the Spielberg circuit, if we can find a driver who's going on to a quick lap. Boniface just went there with a 107.5. But this is a very short circuit, and if you remember, we're going to be looking for incidents at this particular corner. Turn 2, if you remember, Hamilton-Rosberg 2016 had a coming together right there, so we're going to see if that happens. Now, we see Boniface is 1/10 of a second up on his lap time delta there, locking it up coming into turn 3. One of the toughest corners on the track right there. Easy to lock up and go straight on. Now it's come to the double left here. Going to get down 2 gears, get the car turned in, run it out to the curb, and into the second left-hander, or technically an S section here, before we run to the last 2 corners. McQuiz gets himself out of the way, and a quick flick right for the driver, and we go to a last final flick right. He's a 10th of a second down. Oh, Boniface into the wall at the last corner. And that's going to put an end to his lap. So nobody else out on a lap, on a timed lap anyway. Denzamo is on an out lap. Danny OK is out on an out lap. I think we may have maybe one of the Renaults. No, he's on an out lap. Zek is on an out lap. Jason is coming into the pit lane. Boniface is on an in lap, it looks like to me. And Stewart is going on to a lap. So we'll keep an eye on how the other McLaren driver gets on versus his teammate. So down towards turn 2, hard on the brakes for him. And on the purple walled ultra soft tyres for Stuart McDougall here. Of course, the ultra soft tyres are the grippiest tyres available as Stuart goes a bit wide into turn 3. As we're saying, yep, the ultra softs, the grippiest tyres available, but we're going to have another, believe it or not, another set of compounds next season. We're going to actually have the Hypersofts. And while we were saying that, Seika just popped in a lap to go 4th. So that's an excellent lap from the Haas driver. Let's see a check on his lap delta. Well, he's actually backed out. He was actually slightly up on his time there. Seika, excellent lap. 0.2 per second off of David Ben. But right now it's McQuiz who looks dominant with his times there. Can Washi challenge at all on an out lap? Zek is on a lap currently. So let's see how the Brit gets on in the final sector here. Brakes glowing red as he comes through the final 2 corners then. Takes a very nice line through there. Denzamo goes P2. Sorry, Zek went P2 there, so excellent job from him. Denzamo went P2 for a moment, but then Zek pipped him to it, which was an excellent lap. Which is 0.4 of a second off of McQuiz still. So virtually nothing separating Zek and Denzamo though. Let's see how they get on their second time laps if they are on one. So right now your running order is McQuiz, Zek, Denzamo, Boniface, David Ben, Seika, Washi, Jason, Ian, G. Whites, Noodle, Caddy Names and Danny OK. McQuiz comes back out onto the track then. I believe he's just about to go onto a lap then. So it looks like Denzamo's coming into the pit lane. Indeed he is, as is Zek. And actually, embarrassingly, has an accident in the pit lane. We have a yellow in sector 2 then. Who will that be for? We see a car on the wall perhaps? Well, it is going to be Danny OK at turn 2 then. Now, McQuiz, is he going to improve? Doesn't look like it because he had a bit of a moment. But he is pretty much secure where he is. Zek comes in. Washi goes P2 then. Only 0.1 of a second off of McQuiz. Pole position is not safe for McQuiz at this point. He will have seen that and he would have been notified. David Ben just goes P3 then with a 107.1. So it's getting a little bit tight for space up the top then. A second separate the top 8 technically. McQuiz puts in a 106.6. So he's asserting his dominance then. But let's see if Washi can get himself a little bit further. If he can challenge at all. He needs another 0.3 of a second to challenge for pole. Or can David Ben put in a surprise? Let's watch as Washi comes through the final 2 corners. We ride on his rear wing as Danny OK goes slowly coming through the final corner. Washi, does he make himself any further up the grid? Can he get pole position? No, he can't. He was 0.6 of a second slower that lap. David Benn, is he improving? Yes, he was. He did improve. And is now within touching distance of Washi's time. We did have a momentary... Yeah, that was for James Boniface. Zek and Denzama are on their way. They're on an out lap. And they're going to have one more shot at this. So it is a last minute quali shootout. There's been a few... There's a bit of debris being spread around the track there. Oh, gee whites! Now! What on earth happened there? Washi will not be happy with G whites there. Perhaps just a misunderstanding, but well held by Washi. McQuiz comes in. He's done for the day. Now, Washi, I don't think, is going to have another shot. No, he hasn't. And that's going to be that. David Benn is not going to have enough time to come around. But he is up on his time, and they are on timed laps. So David Benn across the line. Does he improve? Yes, he goes P2 at the last moment. Great lap from David Benn then to get himself on the front row of the grid in Austria and put a car between McQuiz to Washi. Now that is an interesting one. Excellent lap from David Benn. That puts Denzama. Denzama will start P5 then, Zek P4, Washi P3, David Benn P2, and McQuiz P1. I will have to take a quick toilet break. And we are back. So, an interesting grid lineup then. It is one of the closest qualifying battles we've had this season. So, I'm actually going to be interested to see the gaps then. Was virtually nothing between David Benn and Washi. So there was there was a second separating first to seventh, and Daniel UK is going to start at P11. Stewart's going to start P12, and Kelly Damus is going to start P13. So you have 35 seconds till we have confirmation of the results. We will just be keeping an eye on David Benn going nice and slowly across the line. If you are just joining us, please do hit that like button and a very warm welcome to you. And we will be beginning the race. We will be beginning the race very shortly indeed. We hope you will stick with us for that duration of the Grand Prix. So, David Benn, P2 today on the front row. Last time he was on the front row was in Monaco, and there is the gaps. A tenth of a second, 2 tenths, 2 tenths, 2 tenths, 1 tenth. So there is top 7 separated by 9 tenths of a second. That's how close it got today. One of the closer ones, and an excellent qualifying session it was indeed. But we're going to have the race very shortly indeed, and I think it's going to be a very interesting one for round 9 of the AOR F8 season. So no formation lap, as per the rules. And we will be going straight into the Grand Prix. Once the countdown begins, we will have 30 seconds to prepare ourselves for the race. So drivers will be just getting themselves set up and ready to go for this Grand Prix. And it won't be too long then. We have the countdown has begun. And we will have about 40 minutes of racing today in Austria. It's been a while since we've had a qualifying session that close. But will we have a race as close as we had as qualifying? And so, with 5 seconds left, all I can say is, grab your popcorn, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go racing in Austria. And we go to 5 red lights for the Austrian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. McQuiz gets away well. David Ben gets away well. It's all even off the first 2 rows then. David Ben's going to slot into second place. And we have moves being made up the back there. We have a few bits of contact between Boniface and the Renaults there, but it is McQuiz who gets away well. David Ben already starting to challenge up to turn 2. Will he make a move for the lead? He's going to be on the outside line, so surely not. Might try and get a cutback though. Washy's there, giving him an old punt in the rear and sends him around almost then. So then it is Washy with Denzamo behind him. Ian up to P5 then. Jason P6, Zek P7, Seika P8, going side by side with James Boniface down to turn 3 then. He's going to be on the inside line, so it's not going to be easy, but he is going to make that move versus the Haas driver then. So Ian is the biggest mover of the lot then. He's up to P5 ahead of his teammate. So David Ben behind McQuiz. McQuiz manages to hold off that attack from David Ben then. But he leads. He's only 0.5 of a second ahead of this man. David Ben and Washy just behind, with Denzamo joining in the trolley train. Now, Ian has got Zek, his teammate, for company now. We go into lap 2 of 36 of this Grand Prix. They will pass by in a flash. McQuiz goes for fast lap, and in the background we see Caddy Davis making a move versus Seika, and that's going to be an easy move down the straight as he had made a mistake. So it all remains virtually as it was, but we do have a bit of a train starting to form. David Ben is now 0.5 of a second clear of David Ben. Washy 0.7 behind the leader. So it's very close, but no DRS in effect just yet. Caddy Davis makes a move on James Boniface, but goes wide, and Boniface will get that position back, and he will lose position to Seika, perhaps. Seika's going to be alongside as we run down to turn 3. We're going to have Stewart for company as well. He's going to be on the inside line, and he's on the Ultra Softs versus the Super Softs. And look at Stewart trying to go around the outside, not going to make that move work, and Danny OUK takes that position away from Stewart. So then Seika still on the outside versus Caddy Davis, down towards turn 4. There's contact made, and through goes Danny OUK as a result of that contact. And that's going to be that for that battle. And there's also a train being formed down the back. Then we have a yellow in second, and that is Stewart off into the gravel at the last section then. David Ben pops in the fastest lap of the race. He is on great form. He hasn't had a win this season, so could he potentially challenge for one today? DRS will be enabled this lap, and we have Zek, I think, having a problem. No, it's Ian. A rare mistake from Ian then sends him spinning at turn 1 and drops him back to the tail of the field, essentially. There is your first DRS section down the back straight at Austria then. He will have another bite of the cherry at the home straight then. The start-finish straight will be his second opportunity. It is a very hard place to overtake in Austria because it's such a short lap that you only have about 1 or 2 opportunities. But David Ben is one to take those opportunities. We can observe Caddy Damas closing in on Zek as well in P7. And he has made that move versus Zek, so we'll go back to that, and he does have that move made. Yes, he does. Zek, I think, might have a little bit of damage. McQuiz makes a mistake in turn 2, and David Ben goes through to the lead. A rare mistake from the Estonian puts him behind into P2, and David Ben leads the Austrian Grand Prix after 4 laps here. Danny OUK looks like he's had a problem. Excuse me, that's Zek who's had a problem. He's come in for damage then. Now, Washi, can he challenge? This is for the championship, remember. McQuiz needs to finish in front of Washi to keep his championship hopes alive, and so too does Washi. Now, McQuiz is not going to let David Ben go very easily then. So here we go. He's got the DRS on the Welshman, and he's going to look to the outside, but David Ben's going to slam that door in his face. And through turn 3 they go for the 4th time. So it is a 3-car train for the lead of the race. David Ben leads from McQuiz from Washi. And the 2 championship rivals are 2 and 3. But David Ben is in an outside chance of the championship as well. But also is Denzamo. He's in P4 and he could really capitalise if something happens between the 2 championship leaders, of course. McQuiz looks like he's kind of struggling through that last 2 corners there. So maybe a problem perhaps, or was that just a little bit of just a mistake from McQuiz there. Caddy Dames a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Let's keep an eye on Boniface. He's looking like he's about to make a move on Jason as well. He's got DRS, but nothing coming of that then. So all 13 drivers still running after 5 laps. No big dramas. David Ben, a bit of a twitch coming out of turn 2 that could leave him vulnerable. Down towards turn 3, the DRS section, of course. Nothing comes of it just yet, but he is right up the gearbox of David Ben. So let's see what happens then. We haven't actually had a battle between these two really this season, and it's nice to see that it is. This is almost reminiscent of the Monaco Grand Prix, with the leaders nose to tail for almost 11 laps of the Grand Prix, and it looks like it's going to be similar here, because nobody's pulling away and nobody's losing time. Quiz 4/10 of a second behind, 5/10 of a second now, but DRS of course will still be to his advantage. Boniface getting up behind Jason now for P5. Jason's running well in P5, but he will have James for company very shortly, so back up to the front then. With lap 6 of 36 completed. DRS for McQuiz again, and Washi's dropping back, 1.3 behind now. So the field beginning to spread out a little bit, but the battle for the lead is very much still alive, so we will keep an eye on this. David Ben still holding on to that lead very well. He led a lot of the laps in Monaco, but wasn't able to convert it to a victory. Washi took victory that day. So will this finally be the opportunity for the Welshman to take a victory this season in AOR F8? That is his aim. McQuiz has had 3 this season, I believe. I think, or maybe 2 or 3. We also see Seika and Kalidamas close together in P7 and 8 respectively. So potentially could see a move here. Well, I think he's a little bit too far back to be making any sort of move there. And David Ben just opening the gap slightly to McQuiz. But McQuiz, you can see how late he's able to go on the brakes there. Gains up a small chunk of time on the brakes, about 1/10 of a second. Helicopter shots provided by FOM. And he's now 4/10 behind. So he gained a lot of time in that first sector. And now gets himself a little bit closer. Goes late on the brakes once again. But will he be able to keep that time difference in sector 2? Washi is definitely dropping back. He's 2.2 behind. He's unable to keep up with the pace of the leaders here. So the lap's passing by in a flash. You can see McQuiz always gets a little kick of oversteer through there. That might cost him some time in this final sector. And McQuiz goes wide. That won't help his cause in the chase. He's lost 2/10 of a second to David Ben, and it's not going to help, as Washi manages to gain the time he lost back slightly there. So these two battling might help his case in catching back up to them. Seika and Kalidamas has their battle progressing. Seika with DRS down towards turn 1. Could we see a move? It's not easy to make a move into turn 1. It's not a place you would normally make one. It would normally be down towards turn 2 that he's going to be making one. It was a pretty poor exit from Caddy Damus there. So let's see if Sega can make a move down towards turn 2 or indeed turn 3. This will be Ultras versus Supers, and there's been a problem in Sector 1 for somebody. It was momentary yellow flag, but there we go, Zek popping in fastest lap then. So, yeah, David Ben indeed pulling that gap out to 9/10 of a second. DRS is still in activation at that point, but it's not as effective. He needs to be within about 3/10 per second to have it really any effect on the car in front. So we now come to a small little respite in the Grand Prix then. David Ben doing a good job at the front to make sure that gap stays relatively stable. And Washi is not too far behind. He's 1.4 behind. Now McQuiz has actually managed to gain back a chunk of time. He always gains time right here. He goes late on the brakes and gets right up the gearbox of David Ben. A huge kick of oversteer for his troubles as well. And Washi with his brand new Fanatec wheel has acclimatized very well and very quickly, and is still fighting for podiums that in the past few years has struggled to get. So since this track is so short, we should see the Ultrasofts go a good distance into the Grand Prix. A one stop should be the best option for the guys. A few guys going alternate. They might go Supersofts Ultras. And in comes David Ben, just as I said. So now this is going to have to be a lightning fast lap from McQuiz. He's going to have to push as hard as he can to make sure he comes out in front and try and make the overcut work. Excuse me, to make the overcut work. Now let's see if David Ben's undercut will work. So where's he going to come out? He's going to come out around... let's see where he's coming out now. So he's going to be in around with Danny OUK and Boniface and all those guys. He comes out in front of those guys. So let's see. Let's watch McQuiz. We can't really see his timings, but is he going purple? He's looking very quick in the clean air. So we should see him come in, but will he come out in front of David Ben? Will he make this overcut work? Will Washi follow him in, or will he stay out? It's interesting strategy plays, of course. Now we see a move between Zek and IEJ teammates going wheel to wheel for a moment there. Now McQuiz, will he come in? Yes, he will. Surely. No, he's going to stay out, and Washi will also stay out as a result. So they're going a little bit longer on these tyres, but will it work? David Ben's gone on to another set of Ultra Softs. So he's going for the two-stopper. He's going Ultra Super, it looks like. Unless there is a glitch there. But it looks like another set of Ultra Softs for that man. It did seem a bit early for him to come in, but interesting strategy calls then. So McQuiz will go a little bit deeper into the Grand Prix. G. White makes his pit stop then. Let's watch the Mercedes crew go to work. It's going to be another set of Ultras for him as well. Yes, Ultra Softs for him then. Zek is on a set of Supers as we have a 3-second time penalty for Stewart then for track extending. So Sega gets past IEJ then for P10. That will be the points. McQuiz will stay out another lap, a little bit longer. So we'll have to reckon around lap 15-ish for these guys to make a pit stop then. Meanwhile, David Ben's got to start making up those positions, because he will certainly have to stop again. So we'd have to assume that the guys up the front are going for a one-stopper, whereas David Ben going for the two-stopper, more aggressive strategy. Caddy Damus, I don't think, is going to be able to put up too much of a fight here. Down towards turn 2, the much faster Ferrari who just set the fastest lap of the race. Let's watch then as he moves to the outside line. Caddy will go defensive, but David Ben very late on the brakes and makes that lovely move around the outside into turn 2. And it was relatively simple after all of that. And is now 9 seconds behind Denzamo and will have to make up that time. But he is about 13 seconds behind McQuiz, and that should be enough to make sure he comes out. Well, that will put him into the lead of the race once McQuiz makes a pit stop. But he will have to make up a gap of about 20 seconds to McQuiz in order to make his two-stopper work. Because these guys will go on to... Well, they'll all be on the same strategy at the end as Denzamo makes his first pit stop of the day. Lap 13 he comes in. Let's see how the Toro Rosso crew go to work. Denzamo, of course, in third in the championship. David Ben puts in another fastest lap. Let's watch who goes. He goes onto a set of soft tyres. Now that is interesting. Sorry, well, actually, might be another glitch. It looks like... No, it is... Sorry, it is soft. So he's definitely going to the end on that set, or very close to it at least. He's going to come out very close with Boniface. Boniface is going to get in front of him. And now David Ben back into the podium slots then. Let's watch Washi then. Denzamo was the first of the Toro Rossos to come in. So let's see if Washi will come in on the end of lap 13. Let's watch. Now we have a yellow in sector 1. It looks like it's for a slow Zek, and it is a spinning Zek, rather, that we have there. Jason now is not just right up behind Seika. Looks like I think Washi has stayed out. And we have a yellow flag. It might be it's David Ben who has a problem. He's spun the car. Yeah, he's got to get that going very quickly. Washi does indeed come in relative to his teammate, but that's not going to help his case. Danny OUK goes to 4th then. David Ben's going to have to defend from Boniface. He's going to have to defend hard from Boniface. Boniface is going to move to the outside into the last few turns then. That is ballsy from Boniface, and he does make that move. So Caddy Dames goes to P2 now. And Washi comes out on the soft tyres. Where's he going to come out relative to David Ben? Is he going to come out in front of David Ben? Here comes David Ben down the DRS, and Washi is going to come out in front of David Ben, and that is as a result of David Ben's spin then. So now we have a real train. Washi comes out just in front of this train, which is very crucial. So now Caddy Damus, this is the furthest he's run up since, of course, Australia. There he is in P2, 16 seconds behind. McQuiz now has a pit stop in hand versus David Ben, and that is absolutely crucial. And he has one versus Washi as well. Now, Boniface looking for a move past Danny UK, looking to end his streak of non-finishes. He's on the inside, if you can see him there, coming towards turn 4. This will be around the outside. Danny UK is going to hold it on the inside, but that is a stupendous move. And he's bounced over the curb, and that's a shame. He's lost that position, but David Ben's looking at it opportunistic off the inside then, and gains a spectacular move, and gains 4th place as a result. Boniface looking to the inside versus Danny UK, but Danny UK is going to go wide. That's very wide, and he's going to lose that position to James Boniface then. So David Ben, his mistake means he comes out behind Washi, but we have to assume that he's got the pace on those ultra softs relative to the soft tyres, 2 compounds softer. So it's definitely going to be, I would have to assume, a ultra soft, super soft for David Ben. Denzamo gets past. Danny UK is on the outside into turn 2. You can see Danny UK is on the inside. He's going to hold that. So fair move from Danny UK. Defends his position as he's very much entitled to do. But Denzamo's on very, very fresh soft tyres, and he needs to get past the pole here to make sure he's still in with a chance of a podium. And in comes McQuiz for his stop. Now, Caddy Damus, I think, will take over the lead of the Grand Prix if he stays out, and it's going to be super softs for McQuiz, the same as David Ben's strategy, it looks like. And out he comes. Caddy Damus is going to take the lead of the Grand Prix, then it's going to be kind of close, actually. But there's Caddy Damus, and he's going to take the lead of the Grand Prix, the first time he's led a Grand Prix since Australia. And he is going to come out in front of Washi, but it's going to be tight. Washi's there, and Washi's actually going to jump McQuiz, and he has made the undercut work just. David Ben is now there, so this is going to make a tasty battle for what is relatively the lead of the Grand Prix. Washi in the essentially the lead of the Grand Prix. McQuiz on super softs versus soft tyres. Now we have 20 laps remaining in this Austrian Grand Prix, and this turned out to be very interesting. Washi with a strategy masterclass comes out in front of McQuiz, and as we know, Washi has the widest car in Formula 1. He's very, very good as well as so-called parking the bus, and he is a master of that craft. So McQuiz now has to find a way past Washi while also looking in his mirrors for David Ben. Now we've had a problem for a car somewhere down the back there. That is Zek again. He's having a torrid time down in P11 now. And now Kelly Davis makes his pit stop. So he's done very well. Fair play to him. But now we have a battle on our hands for what is now the race lead. Washi in P1, McQuiz in P2. This is for essential championship points, and McQuiz gets a good run and has to check up because Washi gets a bad run at a turn 1, and now he's going to be vulnerable to David Ben as a result. So watch David Ben on board with the Ferrari driver. Boniface is in the background as well, and to the outside line David Ben will go. McQuiz trying to make a lunging move up the inside versus Washi. David Ben can't capitalise on that because he gets blocked on the apex. Denzal makes way past Daniel UK and does it this time around the outside. Back to the front then. McQuiz unable to make a move versus Washi, and he's going to have to make one soon because he's on super softs and look at David Ben sideways through turn 3. And Boniface could get in on the action if he likes. He's 1.4 behind this battle now. This is an excellent race we've had so far, with 20 laps to go, with actually 19 laps to go in this race. Washi is 0.3 of a second ahead of McQuiz, who is now half a second ahead of David Ben. Coming through the last two corners, McQuiz goes a bit wide. Washi has to check up a little bit more than he should do. McQuiz now gets an excellent run out of the last turn there. And is, well, surely not going to try and move it to turn 1. McWashi parks the bus and does that down the inside. And there's contact made between the two championship leaders. And watch for David Ben now. Zek comes out of the middle of this fray. He's probably looking at this as, oh my goodness me, what on earth is going on? He backs out of it, keeps out of the way of everybody as best as he can. David Ben is there. He has to take to the grass. So David Ben is putting his front wing just behind the wheel, and look at McQuiz, he's made it, he's done it, and now Washi might lose 2 positions here. He's looking to hold on to P2, but David Ben is looking to get past him on the inside into turn number 3 here, on the inside, and he's looking to get past McQuiz, and David Ben down the inside versus Washi, shoves him right off, and Washi is down to P3. As a result, he's lost 2 positions in 2 corners. McQuiz back in the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. So an amazing battle then, but it's not over because David Ben is on ultra softs. Well, we could say worn ultra softs versus brand new super softs and McQuiz. McQuiz should be able to open that gap up now. But now Boniface is right in with a chance of to put a spanner in the works. And David Ben's had a problem. He's spun the car slightly there. And now he's going to be vulnerable to Washi down to turn 1 here. Washi's going to try and move down the inside. No, backs out of it, but puts his car on the inside. David Ben gives him plenty of space to work with, and Washi's going to be on the inside. Look at Boniface going to make a double overtake versus David Ben and potentially Washi. David Ben, the massive loser there. Boniface up to P3. We're looking for P2 here. He's on the inside, but no. David Ben's trying to go around the outside, and he's not going to make that move. Washi makes a mistake. David Ben has, very close. Almost loses the car and hits Boniface, but Boniface is now looking for P2 all of a sudden. Watch him on the inside into turn 3. Boniface down the inside versus Washi and makes that move. And James Boniface is up to P2 in the Austrian Grand Prix. What an intense race this is turning out to be. A yellow flag in Sector 3. We don't know who that is for. But an absolutely insane race this is turning out to be. And this is almost on par with the Monaco Grand Prix, if not better. Boniface will surely have to make a pit stop very soon. He's on old Ultrasofts. And now David Ben looking to come back at Washi down to turn 1. And Washi's got the DRS. He's going to park the bus like he so often does. And McQuiz has the penalty. So David Ben's going to sweep past Washi, the cutback, the textbook cutback into turn 1. Now that is a spanner in the works for McQuiz. He's well ahead. He's still in the race lead. But if that gap comes down anymore, and Washi is going to come back at David Ben if he can. He has the DRS and he will come back at him. This is an amazing battle between David Ben and Washi. And David Ben's going to shove him right out to the edge of the track and down the inside. Washi for P2 to P3 this will be. And he's trying his ever best to try and get past the Welshman to no avail. But at turn 4, unorthodox, down the inside. And he's made that move into P3. This is amazing stuff. But now you notice Denzamo has now closed up to the back of the two of them here. So this is turning out to be an intense race, and now Denzamo has closed up to the back of David Ben. McQuiz is now 7 seconds clear at the front. He's well in with a chance of a Grand Prix victory, but now we have a train of Washi, David Ben and Denzamo. Zek has a 3-second penalty there. Now where is Seika? He's closing in on these guys as well. Now David Ben again versus Washi. They've been battling for the past 3 laps. Here comes David Ben down the inside, a big old lunge, but he's going to go far too deep into turn 2. Denzamo's going to capitalise on that, and they've made contact, and off into the wall. Spins the car, Denzamo goes around. Now where is Seika? He's going to take a position off him into P5, this will be for Seika. And that is throwing a spanner in the works for David Ben once again. Making contact with Denzamo. But now Washi half a second behind James Boniface. Boniface struggling for tyre wear now. And he's sure not going to be able to hold on versus this man. Lap 21 to 36. Boniface really struggling for tyre wear now. Well, surely a pit stop is in order. He's moving over to the right-hand side of the track. And he's going to come into the pit lane, I think. No, he's going to stay out. But is really, really struggling for pace. You can see Washi having to check up. And David Ben has had to come in, and he's going to go onto the set of the super soft tyres surely now. Seika comes in for his stop. He's doing an excellent job there. Jason is there in P6, or P4 this will be now, versus Cali Damus, who's driving an excellent race right now. Denzamo's right up behind right up his chuff now in P6 as a result of his spin. Now is David Ben surely onto a set of super softs then? Yes. Washi and Boniface. Washi makes the move on James Boniface for P2 in the Grand Prix, but is now 11 seconds adrift of McQuiz. Oh, contact between Jason and Cali Damus, and Denzamo now capitalises and goes to P4. So Jason and Cali Damus make contact at turn 2, and David Ben has got it all to do now on the super softs with a number of laps remaining, with 14 laps remaining. Plenty of hydration needed for this race, even in the commentary box. But right now Boniface is still running around in P3, and he will surely have to stop again because he's not going to be able to make those super softs or ultra softs last that long. And now we get a momentary reprieve after all of that intense action here in the Austrian Grand Prix. This has made the race one of the races of the season. But of course it is McQuiz ahead of Washi, and it is now going to be advantage McQuiz in the championship. He's going to gain another... Well, he's not going to make a substantial gain as he did in the previous round, but he will make a 7-point advantage. Well, he'll gain another 7 points in the championship, which will bring the gap down once again to about a gap of around 34 points, going to the halfway point in the season. Now, David Ben closing in on Cali Damus for P6. So there's, I think, a podium is still within earshot for David Ben today. And Boniface is making his pit stop now, so he will surely drop behind David Ben. And this will be a set of super softs, surely. Unless he started on the super softs, he should go on to another set of ultras. That'll be. He of course started on the set of ultra softs or super softs. That'll be, and he will now drop behind David Ben, and that puts Denzamo into P3, Jason into P4. So this is going to be an excellent race for him. Cali Damus to P5, but I don't think he's going to be P5 for very much longer, as he's got the Welshman David Ben for company now. We should say every driver is still running in the Austrian Grand Prix. This is the first time this has happened all season. And Daniel UK is still running around in P9, looking to finish his 3-race run of DNFs. So then, David Ben starting to challenge Cali Damas, the man who has had a poor run the past couple of races, but is now looking like he's very strong here today in P5, but has a very, very quick Welshman behind him. And Jason, we should say, is running in the best position he's run in all season long. And, well, we see Cali Damas making a mistake there, and through goes David Ben into P5. And after this, if he passes Jason, he will still have 7 seconds to make up to Denzamo. But he is on a compound softer tyre. Softs versus super softs. So, even when he gets past, Jason is on course for a 5th place finish, his best finish this season. Can David Ben get another podium? It's still within a chance. He's had a 3-race run of podiums so far, and is on course for a 4th in a row. So then here he comes into turn 4. Jason's trying to hold on to around the outside, but through goes David Ben. Opportunistic as you like, down the inside. Jason couldn't do very much about it, and now David Ben goes on the charge. 7 seconds to make up to Denzamo in 10 laps. Is it possible? Only time will tell. But right now McQuiz is out in front in a commanding 12-second lead over Washi versus the 2 Toro Rossos, but this will mean good points for Toro Rosso once again. They said their aim this season was to win the Constructors' Championship, and they're on course to do so, which will be, of course, an added bonus for them. Boniface puts the fastest lap in on 109.1. And the lap record around here is in a 107, so I'm not sure we're going to reach that today. We reached it in qualifying, we're not sure we're going to reach it in race trim. David Ben already starting to chip away at the gap. He's 6.7 seconds behind Denzamo now, with just about 9 laps to go. So, as we said earlier, the most consistent drivers this season have actually been Ian and Washi. I think they are the only ones. They're the only ones who have finished every single race this season. The others have had at least one DNF. I'm just checking my Twitter right now. Do excuse me if I get a little bit distracted, but we have reached a lull in proceedings in the Austrian Grand Prix, which isn't bad considering we've had a 26-lap run of pure action. And it is great to see the Aor F8 boys putting on a show in round 9 as the championship battle heats up. There, as I said earlier, there's a 41-point gap currently between this man, Washi, and this man, McQuiz, out in front in P1. Looking to take back-to-back victories. The only other guy to make back-to-back victories this season is Washi. And Washi has had pretty much the dream season. He's taken his first podium. He's taken his first fastest lap. He's taken his first win. Could he potentially get his first championship? He's currently in the driving seat, pardon the pun, in the championship. But we're going to head back down to 8th place right now as we see a battle between Boniface and Seika. Boniface on a brand new set of Ultra Softs versus Seika's worn Super Softs. And we were just run on board as James Boniface just got a penalty. So that drops him. Well, it's going to remain in P8, but he needs to gain 3 seconds on Seika now. And mind you, McQuiz does have a 3-second penalty, but he's so far ahead, it won't really matter. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3, who's that for? It's for none of the leaders. Oh, James Boniface almost hitting the back of Seika. So close to contact. James Boniface has had a very good season this season. He had a pretty poor start to the season, but then came back to take a 4th place. Oh no! What have I done? What have I done? I did this last time in Monaco, and I've done it again. James Boniface out of the Austrian Grand Prix, our first retirement, which is a real shame. As I was saying, James Boniface has had a very good season this season. He's had a few DNFs, including this one, and now he took a 4th place finish and then took a win in, I believe it was, I'll have to check that again, but he had a win this season. So it's a real shame. That puts Daniel UK up to P8, IJ at P9 and Stewart into the points in P10, so at least McLaren will score some points, it looks like. I'm just going to have a quick check as to see when Boniface actually took his victory, because he did have a victory this season. I think it was in Canada. Yes, it was in Canada. And it was an excellent victory, but it's a real shame that he's crashed out of the Austrian Grand Prix on course for a very good finish. And that means Seika remains in P7. Meanwhile, David Benn still chipping away at that gap. He's now down to 5.3. But I don't think he's gaining enough time to catch up to Denzamo. So, we're back in the action on lap 30 of 36, about to go on to lap 31. With McQuiz out in the lead, as he has led every single lap apart from a few. Well, actually, there's been quite a few changes in the lead between Washi, David Benn and McQuiz. And we had a great little three-way battle between the two of them, especially this amazing battle between David Benn and Washi, which went on for a number of laps. And it's a fantastic bit of driving from the two United Kingdomers, essentially. Well, David Benn is a Welshman, Zamo and Washi both from the UK, but great respect between the two of them shown, and you could see David Benn getting a huge chunk of time to Denzamo, as we saw. Now Seika has actually made a move on Caddy Damus for P6 to match his best results so far this season. He's 2.8 behind Jason, so can he get his best results of the season? Both these guys on course for a great finish. And David Benn has made yet another mistake and loses the time he essentially gained. He had a small little oversteer moment and is now 4 seconds behind Denzamo. So not long to go now in the Austrian Grand Prix. No Austrian drivers today, but the only team that are of Austrian heritage are, of course, Red Bull, who, of course, are under the direction of Christian Horner and the great Helmut Marko. And they're on course for their best finish this season, actually. So this will be a great boost for their confidence to do that in pretty much their home Grand Prix, as this is the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg in Austria. So it'll be a great boost to the team's confidence to get the American driver Jason a P5 finish. So then David Benn 3.2 behind Denzamo now. I sense a good battle between these guys about to happen in the dying laps of this race. Fastest lap currently belongs to Boniface, but he's currently out of the Grand Prix. I would have to call this one race of the season now. I think it's a damn sight better than the Monaco Grand Prix, because Monaco in its nature is just a boring race, but Monaco this season was a very, very interesting Grand Prix. But Austria has provided us with an amazing race between David Benn, Washi and McQuiz. Denzamo has had a quiet one. He's had a run in with David Ben actually earlier in the race. They made contact at turn 2, and I said earlier before the race that the two championship leaders needed to collide at turn 2. I don't think it's going to happen on the last lap, but it has happened between Denzamo and David Ben. Daniel UK gets a 3-second time, but he's running around the P8, and looks like he's going to finish this Grand Prix. He hasn't finished the 3 Grand Prix he started previously, but I think Jason won't be able to hold on to P5 for very much longer, as Seika is closing in very quickly on him. So we have about 3 laps remaining in the Austrian Grand Prix. The F8 boys putting on a show once again. 9 rounds finished, believe it or not. We've been going for 9 straight weeks. And we have just one more round before the Christmas break, and then we have another 10 rounds to bring us into March, where we will see the championship being awarded to one of the guys at the end of March. Seika now within 0.6 of a second of Jason. He's got 2 laps to do it. And I would just say actually that everybody is still on the lead lap. So nobody has been lapped as far as I know. Where is Zek on track? I don't know. He hasn't been lapped, I don't think. So that's a good sign. Now, David Ben 1.8 behind Denzamo. It's going to be a last lap battle as far as I can see. McQuiz is about to go on to lap 35 of 36. He's driven a perfect race, but has had to fight for his position and is on course to take back-to-back victories in F8. Nobody has had 3 victories in a row this season. Let's see if McQuiz can do it. Washi hasn't had a victory since, I believe, it'll be Spain. I think it's the last time he's had a victory. Or was, no, Monaco, I think. Monaco was the last time. Oh no, David Ben has made another mistake, and that is his chances of P4 done and dusted. Or P3. So, a podium out of the question for David Ben. He was too eager on the throttle, and that puts him 9 seconds adrift of Denzamo. And now Denzamo can cruise to yet another podium in F8. He's had the biggest haul of podiums this season, and is on course to take yet another one. Now Seika has dropped back behind and doesn't look like he's going to be able to challenge Jason for P5. So Jason is on course to take a best finish this season of P5 for Red Bull at their home circuit. McQuiz goes on to the final lap in Austria, lap 36 of 36. The Estonian will now bring the championship gap down to within the 30 to 40 bracket. It was at over 50 at one point. It was 54 2 rounds ago. It's now going to be, I believe, around 34. And actually, I said that Seika wasn't going to challenge. He's now about a second behind. Well, he's under a second behind. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as it unfolds in the dying lap of this race. McQuiz now in Sector 2. Riding on board with the 6'6" tall Estonian. I don't know how he fits in that car, but somehow he does. From Estonia. And is going to come through the final 2 corners, taking it nice and steady, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes in the final 2 corners, and he rounds the last corner, and McQuiz wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Back-to-back victories for the Mercedes team, and now the gap in the championship comes down to a 34-point deficit, but Washi will minimise the points loss by taking a 2nd place finish. Denzamo will hold on for P3. David Ben could have had a podium, but bottled it at turn number 1 and will finish in P4. Jason is just about holding on to P5. We can't actually get down to that, but David Ben gets a 3-second penalty and will just about finish in front of Jason. And I think, well, we've had a problem there. Seika gets in front of Jason just on the line, it looks like. And Seika takes a best finish of P5 this season. So an excellent job from him. Danny OUK is going to take a... Oh dear, we've had a... Right, Washi decides he's not happy with McQuizz's victory and decides to take him out of the Grand Prix on the finishing lap, on the victory lap, which is interesting. So McQuizz crashes on the victory lap, which is very interesting. So we're going to have the podium celebrations. And as the drivers come, there they are, the two Toro Rosso drivers of Denzamo and Washi once again on the podium, but not on the top step, because McQuizz has taken victory in Austria and brings the championship gap down once again before we head to Britain next time out in round 10. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time out. Bye bye.